One moment. I do love this part.
Zack Snyder is back at Netflix, this time with the first trailer for his new two-part sci-fi epic, Rebel Moon. Famously once pitched as a Star Wars movie, Snyder has taken the idea and created a brand new original set of films. But is there still a little Star Wars DNA hiding in Rebel Moon? The trailer certainly indicates as much, but there's a lot more going on here. While there are some sci-fi staples like laser pistols, evil space empires, and let's call them beam swords, there's also a whole freaking Griffin and plenty of other fantasy elements. So here are all the other bits of inspiration we spotted in the Rebel Moon trailer.
Do you know the story of the Princess Issa?
Trailer begins with the voice of Anthony Hopkins, who, voicing an android in the films, sets the stage for Rebel Moon's warring space mythology. A princess was meant to bring peace to the galaxy, though this clearly doesn't happen as it's followed by images of civilizations crumbling, burning villages, and people being executed. There's also a nice little nod to Gladiator as a pair of robot hands graze over some wheat fields, a shot that's already familiar in Snyder's work from 300 and Man of Steel. It is during this tale of a galaxy maybe not so long ago that we see glimpses of Korra, who we know to be the hero of the story. Sir Anthony's VO about a prophesied hero gives us very strong Dune vibes, as Princess Irulan, played by Florence Pugh in Dune Part 2, recounts the history of Paul Atreides throughout that story. Back on Rebel Moon, meanwhile, Korra's story of a hero rising from obscurity is also nothing new. Skywalkers, Luke, Anakin, and Rey all have that in common, as does Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. One change in Rebel Moon, though, is that at this point in her life, she appears to be a soldier for the Empire. Plot twist. Her past is hinted at briefly in the trailer, where Korra is shown leading her troops to victory, flag raised in hand after shots of her falling in love with one of her fellow soldiers. Sadly for her, he's next seen gravely injured in her arms during battle. The main visual distinction between Rebel Moon and Star Wars is that Snyder is almost veering into Warhammer territory with a visual language that evokes Roman legions and classical architecture, but in space. The Empire is modeled after a very classical look, with soldiers almost looking like slimmed-down space marines. While Korra is living the quiet life, menacing ships fly over her planet, prompting her to warn the villagers of their arrival. She says these invaders only want to take everything.
What do you think they want?
But this scene feels very reminiscent of the opening to Rogue One, when the Empire comes to abduct Galen Erso. Snyder has described Rebel Moon as Seven Samurai in space, which is fitting since Star Wars already owes so much to the Akira Kurosawa film. The story of a band of rogues coming together to protect a small village from marauders has influenced countless films over the years, though, from The Magnificent Seven to The Three Amigos to A Bug's Life. Meanwhile, the Rebel Moon trailer introduces some of our would-be heroes, including Djimon Hounsou's General Titus, Charlie Hunnam's Kai, and Stas Nair's Tarak, who is seen rousing what appear to be gladiators in another Gladiator by way of John Carter-inspired sequence. Among them is Doona's Nemesis, a warrior who appears to have a tragic past of her own, as a shot of her can be seen where she's crying in front of a burning village. One interesting note is that her hat is very much modeled after the Korean god, suggesting that Snyder has been influenced by much more than just ancient Rome and Japan for Rebel Moon. We also know that Bay is going to be a fierce fighter, as she's later seen going head-to-head against a horrifying spider creature. We'll have to wait to see where this one ranks in horrifying spider creature lore. My guess is just behind Shelob. Meanwhile, Tarak is more than just a shirtless warrior. It appears the character is able to tame wild animals. He's seen running alongside a cliff, jumping onto the back of a, wait for it, Griffin. He also seems to be taking the same bow until it lets you pet its head approach the students at Hogwarts employ when meeting a hippogriff. While the trailer does hint at some aliens similar to the ones we'd expect from a movie that was almost a Star Wars, the Griffin is more in line with the classical fantasy vibe Snyder appears to be going for in the movie. At first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything particularly alien about this Griffin. It's very much like the ones you'd see in medieval lore, with a large eagle head and wings attached to a lion-like body. Before the big finish, we see a rapid montage of shots that remind us of everything from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe to Titanic, and features more Hopkins voiceover saying,
"A king is a man, and a man can fail. But a myth is indestructible."
And that tugs on the same thematic threads as Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy.
As a man,
I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored. I can be destroyed.
In short, there's a chance Zack Snyder has made a mashup of Gladiator, Dune, Seven Samurai, and Batman with hints of John Carter from Mars, Harry Potter, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Needless to say, there are a lot of inspirations at play in this trailer, and we'll have to wait until Part 1 drops on Netflix in December to see just how much they compete with each other. While we already knew Part 1, now titled Child of Fire, would be coming our way on December 22nd of this year, we've also learned that Rebel Moon's second entry, Scargiver, will be released April 19th of 2024. Are you excited for Snyder's next epic? How do you feel knowing that this could have been a Star Wars film? Let us know in the comments below, and for more Rebel Moon, keep it with us on IGN.